everyone, it's Billy Rude from FIFTY8 magazine, and thank you for watching The Art of Consciousness, the Sea of Light. The human being is a survival machine, largely powered by chemicals and genetic coding. The brain is a discrete organ in the home of consciousness, which is also largely driven by chemistry, the communication of cells and the coding of DNA. Man is essentially isolated from his world, and his mind is isolated from his body. Time and space are finite, universal orders. Nothing travels faster than the speed of light. The communication of the world did not occur in the visible realm, but in the subatomic realm. Cells and DNA communicate through frequencies. The brain perceives and makes its own record of the world in pulsating waves. A substructure underpins the universe that is essentially a recording medium of everything, providing a means for everything to communicate with everything else. People are indivisible from their environment. Living consciousness is not an isolated entity. It creates order in the rest of the world. And the consciousness of human beings has incredible powers to heal ourselves, to heal the world, and in a sense to make it as we wish to be. These discoveries of science have been proven since the 70s. By the study of the zero-point field, the quantum field, or the force in quantum mechanics. This scientific revolution is proof of the end of dualism in every sense. This is science approving God, a higher collective consciousness, exists. That means there is no longer two truths, the truth of science and religion, but a unified vision of the world. And in today's video, I will share with you information about the discovery of quantum physics and the study of the small, these subatomic particles, and how they can get us closer to the mysteries of our own being, how we think, why we get ill, and the power of you and your divine director. And quanta means the study of the small, or packets of energy. And physics is a science concerned with the nature and properties of matter and energy. This includes heat, light, radiation, sound, electricity, magnetism, and the structure of atoms. Quantum physics and mechanics is the discovery that particles are discrete packets of energy with wave-like properties, which is a branch of physics dealing with atomic and subatomic systems. And these are the pioneers of quantum physics. They were true pioneers into the metaphysical territory, which is the study of the unseen. And their theories were if electrons were connected everywhere at once, this implied something profound about the nature of the world at large. And they researched into classical philosophical texts in their attempt to grasp a deeper truth about the subatomic world they were observing. Pauli examined psychoanalysis and archetypes in the Kabbalah, Bohr the Tao in Chinese philosophy, Schrödinger in Hindu philosophy, and Heisenberg the Platonic theory of ancient Greece.
Where are the wires?
Exactly.
What they discovered is at our most elemental, we are not a chemical reaction, but an energetic charge.
Hold out other hand.
What's conducting the electricity?
Our bodies, Mr. Angier, are quite capable of conducting and indeed producing energy.
Human beings and all living things are a coalescence of energy, in a field of energy connected to every other thing in the world. This pulsating energy field is the central engine of our being and our consciousness. This unseen field is the force, rather than germs or genes, that finally determines whether we are healthy or ill. The force must be tapped into in order to heal. We are attached and engaged, inseparable from our world, and our only fundamental truth is our relationship with it. And the field, as Einstein once said it, is the only reality.
Albert Einstein said that more than 50 years ago. And it couldn't be more relevant than it is today. Not merely to cure disease, but to end poverty and hunger, to heal the planet, and build a better future for all of us.
The field is a matrix which connects two or more points in space via gravity or electromagnetism. The force is represented by ripples in the field, or waves. An electromagnetic field is an electrical and magnetic field which intersect, sending out waves of energy at the speed of light. An electric and magnetic field forms around any electrical charge, which is a surplus or deficiency of electrons. Both electrical and magnetic fields have two polarities, positive and negative, and both will cause any other charged object to be attracted or repelled, depending on whether the charges are opposite, positive or negative, or the same, positive or negative. The field is considered that area of space where this charge and its effects can be detected. This sea of light and energy is echoed in the Bible of God's first dictum, "Let there be light," out of which matter was created. And everything in our world, anything you hold in your hand, no matter how dense, how heavy, or how large, on its most fundamental level boils down to a collection of electrical charges interacting with the background sea of electromagnetic and other energetic fields, a kind of electromagnetic drag force. As they would write later, mass was not equivalent to energy. Mass was energy, or even more fundamentally, there is no mass. There is only charge. And health is a state of perfect subatomic communication, and ill health was a state where communication breaks down. We are ill when our waves are out of sync. Think of your brain as a piano. When we observe something in the world, certain portions of the brain resonate at certain specific frequencies. At any point of attention, our brain presses only certain notes, which trigger strings of a certain length and frequency. This information is then picked up by the ordinary electrochemical circuits of the brain, just as the vibrations of the strings eventually resonate through the entire piano. One of the most important aspects of waves is that they are encoders and carriers of information. When the two waves are in phase and overlap each other, technically called interference, the combined amplitude of the waves is greater than each other's individual amplitude. The signal gets stronger. This amounts to an imprinting or exchange of information called constructive interference. If one is peaking when the other is not, they tend to cancel each other out, a process called destructive interference. Once they've collided, each wave contains information in the form of energy coding about the other, including all the other information it contains. And interference patterns amount to a constant accumulation of information, and waves have a virtually infinite capacity for storage. If all subatomic matter in the world is interacting constantly with this ambient ground state energy field, the subatomic waves of the quantum field are constantly imprinting a record of the shape of everything. As the harbinger and imprinter of all wavelengths and all frequencies, the quantum field is a kind of shadow of the universe for all time, a mirror image and record of everything that ever was. So in a sense, the vacuum is the beginning and the end of everything in the universe, the alpha and the omega.
Imagine such an entity with a full range of human emotion, even self-awareness. Some scientists refer to this as the singularity. I call it transcendence. The path to building such a superintelligence requires us to unlock the most fundamental secrets of the universe. What is the nature of consciousness?
And consciousness is a global phenomenon that occurred everywhere in the body and not simply in our brains. Consciousness, at its most basic, is coherent light, and subatomic particles exist in all possible states until disturbed by us, which is because we observe them or measure them. This is when these subatomic particles settle down into something real, into matter. And the one observing this field of subatomic particles is human consciousness, is what is central to consider, as it is the cause to what sets those particles into motion, into matter. And all around us is an invisible field also known as the force, or this quantum field, or the 0-point energy field, an ocean of microscopic vibrations in the space between all things. Everything in nature starts with this moving sea of energy, a vast quantum field. This is what connects everything, this invisible web. And humans are packets of quantum energy, and we are constantly exchanging information with this bountiful quantum field. This explains how our brain creates thought and feelings. This cognitive functioning has to do with the quantum information pulsing through our entire body as we interact with these subatomic particles we resonate with in our own personal realities. This is why what we do and think matter. They literally create matter. And subatomic particles are vibrating, pulsing, and almost schizophrenic and behaving like particles, either in a wave or spread out. They are also omnipresent and infinite, so this suggests that the consciousness of the observer brought the observed object into being. Nothing in the universe exists as an actual thing independent of our own perception of it. Every moment of every day, we are creating our world, a reality. What we think is a stable, static universe is in fact a sea of light fleetingly popping in and out of existence.